In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledges to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Jake or Mark decide to speak in open forum? Okay. Well, item number 4 is the consent agenda.
Yes, sir, you've got minutes in there from 3 previous meetings. And I wasn't here for those, but was able to locate those on the computer and have those there for you to look at.
Make the motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Helms, second by Mrs. Warren to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 5. 5.1 is a bond item discussion item for bond updates.
Got Jake Lawrence here. I think y'all know Jake from Government Capital. Jake put something at your table, wants to review with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Burke. Good to see you all again. Hadn't got a chance to speak with you all since the election passed and got the Proposition A through. And now we're going back through that process of getting ready to sell the bonds. A couple things have changed in regards to legislature funding and things we're going to look out for. But for the most part, looking at y'all's situation and trying to get this structured is timing it around trying to fit a narrow window of when certified values come out from Stonewall and Fisher, which happens at the end of July. So that will give me the benchmark or the parameters of figuring out how to structure the bonds based upon that new information. And then also having the bond sale occur before you set your August tax rate meeting so that you're able to levy a tax rate on it to generate payments for the new amount. And then also making a payment prior to September 1st of the end of the biennium for the legislature's standpoint, because of what the district currently receives is what's called additional state aid for homestead exemption. It is a funding mechanism that the state has to provide to school districts when they increase the homestead exemption. Because when the homestead exemption went from, a long time ago, it was like at 15,000, then it went to 25, then to 40, then to 100,000. Well, what's passed in the last week of the legislature before it ended was that they're going to increase it from 100,000 to 140,000 for anybody that's 65 and under, and then they're going to increase the senior 65 and older housing freeze to 200,000 from what's currently 110, I believe is what they received. They received $10,000 more, I think, for the seniors or 65 and older freeze, but that's going to go all the way up to 200,000. So 65 and older, if they're in a home that's 200,000 or below, they're not paying any taxes this period, whether it be out of the budget or INS. So it's at least helps them out a lot, which is very important. And then you also have the effects of every other homestead going from 100 to 140. So what ends up when that happens, each school district across the state loses tax base that they're able to tax upon. Well, we went and called a bond back in February, and there wasn't any discussion of them increasing it to even that extent up again to 140. There's no bills out there. There's always, we're going to lower taxes, but there's a couple ways that they could do that. And this is the route that they chose to increase the homestead exemption. So you're going to lose a little bit of value. When you lose that value, as long as you make a payment before the end of the biennium, you are eligible to receive state funding to make up the difference of what you're going to lose. So what y'all currently receive on your current bonds from 2020 is about $25,000. That was a larger bond, so it's going to have a little bit more of an effect to bring in the $25,000 extra. And what you do with that money is you use it to pay principal and interest on your current bonds. It's just a help. It's not coming from your local taxes, it's coming from the TEA and state aid. And then this new bond, once we make a payment, will be eligible for the state to hold y'all harmless again, once that passes in November, because it's put on the ballot every November. They have one of these out there, and these pass by 90% in favor. You know, who wants to lower property taxes? Everybody, for the most part. So that's what we're gonna be looking at here. What I have before you is just a timeline to give you an update about what's all kind of happened. Y'all had the election the 3rd of May, canvassed 10 days after that. We submitted the permanent school fund application to TEA, which provides a credit rating enhancement of AAA rating so that you get the lowest possible interest rate when we go to market. Really, and then we started working on, POS actually stands for Preliminary Official Statement, and that's a document that goes together where we work with the related parties to generate all the financial information to get ready for the bond sale that comes up, so investors can look at it and see all the economic data. For the district standpoint, we're looking at the rating call is really the main thing. That's going to be happening in a few weeks on July 8th, and it's pretty standard stuff that we've gone through, thousands of times, it feels like. Really, what we're looking at for y'all, so this is what really, we can move some of these dates for sure, but we're trying to, hit that narrow window and get it funded before the end of the month. Would y'all be open to having a board meeting on August 5th? Because that would be done, and we can move it a couple days or so, but we're trying to also make sure that we're here for those meetings, because we're having to do a couple other these bond sales, and we just want to make sure that if the 5th is maybe a good option to have for y'all. I believe that's on a Tuesday. If that would be a good day. If not, y'all can get together. We're still ways out, so you don't have to maybe even decide until July board meeting for that exact date. But if we can find out roughly at the latest, a week and a half, a week before would be helpful to the bond sale date. But right now, I just mentioned it in August 5th. That can change. We just want to make sure that y'all are here to be able to do it potentially, and it could just be a special standalone board meeting. Because what allows the school to do is we price the bonds, because after all that stuff happens, it goes to the Attorney General's office, and they require a good amount of time for them to do a review to make sure we've done everything legally in accordance with Texas and federal law. And so once they give their rubber stamp of approval, we can close and fund in time to turn around and make a payment before the end of the month. So we can get state aid to help make your debt service payments there. So just keep that in mind. That's really the only thing that's for y'all to look at as a board for a potential date. If 5th doesn't work, just let me know. Y'all can decide at next month's board meeting if y'all still, you're still up in the air about the 5th. Because y'all probably know your schedule's a little bit better in July than you do probably right now for that point. I know school will probably starting a week after that maybe, or I don't know, maybe starting earlier this year depending on y'all's schedule. But
I think that's when they're doing in-service.
We'll be in it as well.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Teachers come back on the 4th. So,
Jake, that's something that could be done. You have to be present for us to do that. You Zoom in. Is that like a 10-minute meeting?
It's a review of the numbers, review of the pro forma. This is what we're looking for tax rate purposes. Here's how the bond sale went. So I can get it done in 5 minutes if you really want me to, but if you want to get your money's worth, I can go for an hour.
I think everybody's good without that, but this board has meetings on the 7th and 8th, I believe, and the 14th and 15th of July.
Interview.
Is that right, for interviews? And so, still not going to have a lone finalist yet, but you're getting close. Let me get with the leadership team and see what's going on, and then get back with y'all and maybe have a morning meeting or sometime, and just, if we get a quorum and get it done, y'all be agreeable to that?
Sure. You can do it really at like noon at the earliest if you're going to do a day meeting.
Okay.
Because we go to market that morning. I've done it before for a few schools where they have the meeting after about lunchtime or so,
Okay.
because we get the results of that bond sale that we can get to you for the noon board meeting.
Okay.
If not, you can do it the next day in the morning, but that's a little, because I don't know if that's something you want to do or not. Say you have a bond sale on Tuesday, but then you meet on Wednesday morning. You can do that. You just got to make sure we have a quorum there, because we're up against the deadline to tell investors that their money is locked in.
So give me a window, earliest and latest. The 5th's the latest, and what's
Oh, on dates, you know,
to do that?
I would like to be here, that's why I had y'all go first,
Yeah.
at least, compared to some of the other clients that we're working with. I can zoom in if it's a date that maybe conflicts. Let me look here. 5th or 6th, maybe, or we can look at, I mean, it just gets real tough pushing it out farther than the week of the 8th.
But you can't go earlier than the 5th?
Certified values come out on the 28th at the latest, I believe. So that would give me, I need to give a couple of days, maybe. Let's see. So it's on the, I could do Thursday the 31st.
Well, do we have any conflict with the 5th?
I don't know that we do. I just want to have a couple of dates in case
Yeah.
we couldn't get a quorum.
Well,
So,
when you meet on the 17th of July, you can tell me a date. If the 5th doesn't work at that point, we'd be perfectly fine. It's just kind of, we're trying to hit this narrow window. It's the only thing we're maybe
I'll be around.
constrict a window. Because like, it's like, you pretty much have to sell the bond in between after the 28th, a couple days after that, because I gotta go make sure the information's correct on the certified values, and then do that first week of August.
okay,
So, I mean, we'll touch base back
Yes.
again on the 17th, I'll make note of that. Everything else on here is just the bottom half, is who's worked on those bonds previously with your bond counsel. We're getting a credit rating, and the underwriters that had previously sold the bonds back in 2020, and then their counsel themselves. Any questions on the timeline, other than we'll figure out a date here over the next month or so? This one got cut off a little bit on the right side of the tax rate setting, but what you're looking at here is just a breakdown of that same scenarios that y'all have seen before. Now it's just the $6,580,000. So you have your local valuation, which includes all the oil and gas and everything else, the 313 wind farm, and then your current debt service from the 2020 bond and what the new debt service would look like. So you can see we need to use $862 to get, that's all you need for the first payment, like for how much interest accrues off of this. But on the far right side, what you would see is what corresponds to the total payment, is that it's going to start, depending on what the board decides to do, but it's going to start at like roughly 29 cents is what you would need to levy in order to service the debt. Currently, you are at 27 and a half, I believe. So we're going up to 28, or 29, excuse me. And it starts dropping down, because you can see those payments start dropping as well, just to show that, we're going to utilize the 313 value where it's at. So you'll start seeing that tax rate start going down as those payments decrease with both the current debt service of the 2020 bond and for the new one there too. So
So that's less than what we anticipated?
it is due to the fact that it's Proposition B in the past.
Yeah.
So that cuts off at least a little bit of what the annual debt service would be.
Okay.
Because we were going up to 30, I believe, which was like 27 and a half to 30, so 2.5 cents was what was communicated to the public for both propositions if they passed. Now it's going to be a 29, just with only Proposition A passing. There is an opportunity that we're going to look at. I can't make the determination of how I want to use it, but you'll have roughly $1.8 million or somewhere right in there in INS reserve. And we're going to be looking at how the best way to utilize that now with this new bond sale. Most likely it's going to be used to defease out some of these 2020 bonds down here at the bottom end. So that will, not only will it knock off maybe a year or two, depending on how much you want to use, because I want to help show you the options based upon the valuation change, what we're going to see there. It'll help me make a decision. But we'll knock off, maybe the last 2 years of the 2020 bond, and then that will make every payment before those last two maturities also drop, because you're paying interest to bondholders. Roughly at the very end of this bond, it's probably $460,000 worth of principal in the last two, or last one, the second to last. And the last year's probably 450, because there's very little interest, just like when you look at a mortgage. So you'll knock down some interest payments when we look to defease those bonds out. And we'll look to do that because of the certified values that will help you make a determination of how much we want to use, we'll probably do it. We have to let the bondholders know 45 days early, so I would say maybe at your September board meeting or something like that, make a decision at that point in time, because y'all have a lot going on anyway right now. And because of the 45 days notice, yeah, I got to go 45 days backwards or forwards from when I get the certified values. You follow me there? Because that's going to help me make a analysis to figure out how much we should use and to put it in certain spots, and we'll go over that probably on the same day that we do the bond sale with y'all too, just to have an idea, because I'll have it by that point. So yeah, market's starting to calm down a little bit, which is good. You can see, y'all's interest on this, of course, moving it up from 6.5 to 9.25 from what we're looking at today's market. Hopefully it goes down a little bit from there. We'll continue to monitor it, but as compared to like some schools that are doing 30-year bonds and they're paying just as much principal as they are interest throughout the entire life of the bond. So that's not the case for y'all by any means. So y'all have made a good decision by structuring it the way we're going to do it with higher payments earlier on, and appreciate her dropping over time. So. Any questions you have for me?
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
I'll
Jake.
be available if you have any other things that pop up, and I'm sure I'll be meeting a lot, so as time goes on, just feel free, you can come back out here in the meantime, too.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to item 5.2, teacher incentive allotment.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this before y'all. I'm sure you've heard this term, the teacher incentive allotment, TIA. Everything's an acronym, the TEA. And so I put some numbers in there for you. I pulled this from their webpage. Last year, Region 14, many districts around the state do it. I put that also in your packet, the ones in Region 14 that do and the ones that don't, and the ones that are in their designation year. So you can see there are 18 in Region 14 that do participate, and 6 that are getting ready to, and then that other 19. I don't know if they're in or out because that list is old because I pulled it from the website. My sources, my wife Rose, at the service center says that several of these have submitted their applications for it. So what it means for teachers is that last year those were the allotments. For a recognized teacher, it's 7,066, exemplary 14,1, and then the master teacher 25. They don't get all of that because there's taxes, and then the district generally keeps 10% to pay their portion of TRS and those kind of things. And then if you get stakeholder feedback, you could change it a little bit too to maybe give some of this to support staff and others on the campus where the faculty members are who receive it. And Rotan, because you're K-12, under one roof, you'd want to look at that if you want to reward those other folks that are a support of the classroom teacher, it'd be good. This is my opinion. There's a lift to get it done. You have to write a plan. And so you could write a plan in the 25-26 school year, and then you have to submit that, and then you have to collect data the next year based on your plan. And it's pre-post data. It's the teacher performance and how they did on an assessment that you put in your plan, whether it's MAP testing or STAR scores or whatever it is you put in your plan. And then they get this the following year. In my opinion, this is where we're going in Texas, because the basic allotment didn't change a little, but just a little bit. So the state minimum salary schedule changed 0. So the only way a teacher's going to get a raise is if this board votes to pay above base, or if they get a step raise. They just get, for seat time, you just work another year, you get a little bump based on your salary schedule. Everything is going to be categorical moving forward. This commissioner is not going to send money to school districts to give teachers anything unless it's tied to student performance. That's just the way it's going to be. And this is tied to student performance. And so, for example, band directors, even band directors could get this. band director, that if you put the pre and post, you know, the number of persons who participate in a UIL competition, or your rating at state marching contest or district, those kind of things. You can even put participation numbers along with performance, you know. So it incentivizes good performance.
So you can structure the incentive how you want to, so long as it gets approved through the,
Yes.
through the process.
You send your plan, you write your plan, and you can, within reason, yes, sir. You send it, Texas Tech is the reviewing agency for these. You send it to them. They may ask you to tweak something, but I think this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I think this is year 7. Joe, you may know, but it's been around a while.
I think your website said 2019.
19?
19 or 20.
Okay.
I tried to look it up the other day when I read the
Yeah,
packet, and there's a lot of information on that
Yeah.
website.
yeah, it's a lot.
Yes, there is. It's a
Woo.
lot.
Yeah.
It's a
You
lot.
gotta stop and-
Yeah. So, but, and that was a question I had, which I guess, because if I remember correctly, didn't we vote to get rid of the star recently, or is that still on the docket? I can't remember.
It's still on there.
Okay.
It's wishful thinking.
Well, I couldn't.
There was a bill out there.
Yeah, I knew there was, and I couldn't remember if it passed or we had voted on it yet or not, but, so you could structure it based off, I guess, your maps, because we do maps for pre-K all the way up, is that right? Okay, I was just trying
You
to
could.
think of a way
Yeah,
that,
it's
make
not-
sure that you get everybody involved and you don't just get it based off of star testing.
Yeah, are there
You know.
other templates floating around, or is it just completely up to the district, or is it kind of?
No, you have to, there are some metrics you have to
Yeah,
stay within these parameters, but now they're so far along into it that the service center could really help.
Okay.
And they could look at exemplars. You know, there are some districts that have some really robust plans that passed without revisions. So this district, I think, would be smart and wise to put a group together and use the service center's assistance and get a plan for the 25-26 school year to try to get it approved during the school year. Yeah, so if, you know, I'm not asking you to make a decision on this tonight, but I could certainly put it on a future agenda. I just kind of wanted to toss it out there and see what y'all's thoughts were. So, do you have any other questions about it? You can go to that website and look at it. There's a ton of information. Our commissioner, I mean, I served on his cabinet the last 3 years, and he is all about outcomes, student outcomes, and he's all about rewarding teachers who can drive student achievement and move the needle. And he's not about keeping those in the business who can't do that. So it's a tough time to be having that conversation because there are no teachers, but that's who he is.
We can add, that sounds good, as long as we can include everybody freaking
I would, my opinion, I don't think it's worth it if we're not going to include everybody in the
Right.
opportunity to
Yes.
do the same things and improve the performance based on their growth, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I didn't even talk about the fact that you have a band director that's not teaching a star subject, you know, how would they
Right.
get?
Yeah,
But
you just,
You
you
could,
find another metric.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
student outcomes. So
There's a lot of flexibility
yeah,
involved in it.
yeah, there is. And it wasn't at first. It was pretty dang rigid at first.
Which is part of my,
Yeah.
at the time, it wasn't looked at for us, because how do you choose one over the other?
So the best example I can give is a teacher in a neighboring district, we'll say, that teaches Montessori 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and she is a master teacher. So, you know, they use a different assessment. Help me here, one of you instructional people.
CLI?
There are other assessments they use, and so it's beginning of year and end of year assessments on those, and she's a master teacher. So because of the pay raise that's coming from House Bill 2, this person will get likely about an $8,000 pay raise from that, and then she's a master teacher getting home with about 20 of this, and then she's on step 25. So she's pushing 6-figure salary as a teacher of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, which is what our commissioner wants, is 6-figure salaries for teachers all over Texas.
Great.
Yeah.
And then, y'all, like I said, I was looking through it. Once you get qualified as one of these, it's like a 5-year renewal process essentially.
Yes.
So you got 5 years basically to keep that rating going.
Yes. And every district needs a plan, because if we hired a teacher that is eligible and has been getting it at their district, we have to also pay them, but you're supposed to have a plan in place to draw down the funds. So,
Why haven't we been doing this?
I don't know.
Downside.
I don't know.
What'd
I wasn't,
Well,
what'd you say?
I was wondering why why wouldn't we do it? Why haven't we been?
Yeah.
My opinion, it's improved, and it's grown some in like the scope and the number of people who could. And when you have one math teacher for the whole entire, I think there were a lot of factors at the beginning and a lot of unknown. I like the idea of going with the service center to be able to partner with them and get the help that we need to make sure it's done correctly. I feel like the approach to it is similar to what we did with our Strong Foundations grant, where you make a plan, and then the next year we're measuring what we're doing, and then go to from there. So I feel like we've done a little bit of that, and I think it's the right thing to do.
and I'll piggyback on that. Nobody really wanted to do it in year A or B because only the big districts had the staff to do the work, the heavy lift to put the plan in place. But then after a couple of years of it getting a little bit easier and the lift was better, a little less heavy, more districts started doing it. I think my former district, we were in year 4, maybe year 3, we started the plan. But as again, I'll say it again, you know, it's a lift, it's hard work, and these folks are gonna have to do some work, and it's gonna have to be a team of other teachers willing to be on that committee and write the plan, but you have good support at the service center.
It was harder to get like everybody in it, like pre-K teachers and all that.
Yeah.
It was not a easy.
Inclusive.
No, it's
Yeah.
part of our
not
reasoning
right
at the
there.
time. I agree. Was that how do you say, okay, your high school math teacher's fine, but pre-K's not doing anything, which is not valid in our
Yeah.
opinion. You know, at that point, they're all important.
Well, I think the fear too was when you've been around a little bit, like I have, people thought it was gonna be like the career ladder.
Right.
If you remember that, and that caused dissension among the ranks and wasn't a positive thing. And then the career ladder money went away, you know, when it was really getting going, so we were fearful of doing it, to answer your question, yeah. But I think it'd be a good thing to do, and what I'm hearing is I'll put it on the agenda next month, and y'all can decide if you want to go forward or not. That work?
And this is state funding separate from the education?
Yeah. Yeah, you send in your data each year.
Yeah, well, I know it's where the funding is actually coming from. It's from the state. It's part of the state budget, I guess, every year.
Yes, it is.
Interesting. Thanks for bringing that to us. My thought is that how do you compete for hiring teachers if you don't have that and then retaining them? Thank you.
Yeah.
No action items on number 6. How about leadership team reports?
They don't have any tonight, but I put it on there. This will give me a chance to kind of explain this format. I kind of like getting the work done early in the agenda, and let's get rolling and get our consent agenda taken care of, mostly non-controversial routine things, and then discussion. Normally the action items would be here, and I've already got several on next month's, and then the reports would finish up the meeting. But that's when everybody's fresh and still listening and all. So we'll try to get those votes done earlier in the meetings. So, but no action tonight. So no report from the leadership team. And then I've got some things to report to you on the superintendent. The financials are in there. I spent a little bit of time on the phone today with Terry Nichols and Hunter Warren, just trying to get familiar with this report. The first one is one that is they've created for this district to show, you know, 1 year and the next year. I think that's a good thing to do. There is one error on it. If you look at the actuals, as you come down to function 12, instructional resources and media services, that says 56, that's 26. I was curious why we were over budget, and so we're actually not. That's a typo. And then I'm still trying to dig into, down on 51, plant maintenance and facility services. You know, that's at this time of year, there's got to be some reason why that's 65%, only 65% spent. So I'm digging down in there to see if there was some project that didn't get done. I mean, there's still salaries and utility bills and all that stuff, but there aren't $350,000 of that. So I'll know tomorrow why it seems a little off to me. But then the rest of those reports are in there for you to look at. The next page, there's one on there that says state program revenue. It's on the one that says debt service fund financial statement, Fund 599. And so that state program revenue is actually your existing debt allotment, and they budgeted $1 because you don't ever know if you're getting that, and they've actually gotten $18,474. So, I mean, it's not a lot, but it's money that we didn't think we were going to get. So the rest of those reports are there for your review. I reviewed them.
It's 1.8 million percent over budget. See that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That's revenue, though. It's always good to be.
I was wasting time. But
I know.
yeah,
Well,
that's-
thank you. I don't know your sense of humor yet, so
It's not very good.
it's not very good. All right, sorry.
Neither does my wife.
I got you. I blame my wife for a lot too. This page is pretty non-useful. So I spent a lot of time on the phone today trying to get people to answer questions, my questions about this, and they couldn't. So tomorrow my plan is to talk to Ken at the Service Center, who he's created this, and Ken's really the rock star in school finance for Region 14. He's been retired for a long time, but they won't let him go. I just kind of want to know what he's working on here and how he's making these estimates. So the thing that I did learn on this is that, you know, this district has money in Lone Star Investment Pool, and that's not accounted for in this. So when you look over there and see the projected, this is cash flow, that projected negative number. It is today, but that's because there's been no entry for money that would have to be moved in there from another investment that's earning more than it is at the local bank. Does that make sense? It's moved over to another account for a while because I don't really know what it's paying, but it's probably, if it's like the funds that we have in it, it's probably paying 4, 5, 4.8 something, and the bank's probably paying 1 or 2. So anyway, any questions about the financials? If not, I've got some other things to share with you. You know, I've put on here the new hires and accepted resignations because in the summertime, you've given the superintendent authority to hire, and if I hire or if somebody leaves, I want to tell you all that at the next board meeting. But nobody has, thank goodness. My goals for y'all, like I said previously in the interview, was to work hard on the budget and get one that we could all live with, and then if there are any HR issues like hiring and that kind of stuff, take care of them, and then work with this team and others to make sure that we're ready for the start of school. And so I'd really like to have, if I don't have your email addresses that I can find. Does Danielle have your email addresses?
Yes.
Okay. What I'd like to do, if something comes up, I'm going to send you a blind carbon copy email that you can't respond, because if you do, it's a violation of Texas Open Meetings Act. So I'll send it to me, and you guys will all be BCC'd on it. Okay? So if I get an answer to these things and I want to tell you that, I'll send that to you as a blind carbon copy. Okay? Just so you don't have to wait. So legislative update, you got a little bit of it there. It's all over the map. So House Bill 2, they're calling it a teacher retention allotment. That's where the pay raise comes from. For schools with fewer than 5,000 students, it's $4,000 for a classroom teacher with at least 3 years of experience and less than 5. Okay? For each classroom teacher with 5 or more, it's $8,000. Okay? And so we've got to send in some data to the state to be able to get that funding. In the coming weeks, we're going to have more information on that, but nothing's out right now. You know, they say go to the state funding template, and it's blank. So I'll look today. Now, here's one of the hiccups with that. There's a support staff allotment as well, and my math says that this district's going to get about $10,000
Total?
Total. So what that means is it's $45 per ADA. Okay? And ADA is never as good as enrollment. It'd be better if it were enrollment. But the folks eligible for that are counselors, librarians, nurses, teacher assistants, custodial staff, food service staff, bus drivers, administrative assistants, and other support staff. So tell me how a district's going to take $10,000 and fairly distribute that when the teacher that this para might be supporting just got an $8,000 raise. It's going to be difficult. And so this is the kind of stuff, and I know I've never, well, I guess I have when I was in Weatherford, but I struggle a little bit, just being brutally honest about this, but I'm going to because I'm retired. The agency sometimes just does stuff like this, and it doesn't help us, okay? So all those other people who are in the building that are working just as hard as those who are delivering instruction, it's bad for morale. It's really difficult. And the teachers deserve that $8,000, but the counselor and support staff, these are your principals and counselors, and there's no money for any of them. So that $10,000 is not going to go very far. So we'll go to work on it. So you've charged me with bringing you a budget that to adopt. So this is going to be a challenge. Okay, just telling you straight up. That's House Bill 2, and there's a lot of it. This is just the part that's most important right now because of the budget. Then Senate Bill 401, you may have read this one. It's a homeschool participation in ISD extracurricular activities. The decision has to be made sooner, not later. And so I'm going to put this on the agenda for July and ask that you all vote on this, do some homework on it. The bill allows public schools to offer UIL participation opportunities to non-enrolled students who meet eligibility standards. So does that mean we have to develop eligibility standards? Do we say you have to be eligible as per UIL? I'm trying to get some information on this. Does a homeschool parent grade and weight grades like we do at the ISD? Some may not.
I feel like we voted on
We've
this.
done
We've
something-
done this before.
something like
I said no.
You
Years
did,
ago?
because it's in law, but they allowed them to participate voluntarily, but now you have to say, the UIL has to take them if you
Yeah.
approve it.
So
So,
we've done this a couple years
yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Well, the bill is scheduled to take effect starting with the 25-26 school year, so I'm gonna put it on the July agenda and let you guys up or down it. My opinion is that I wouldn't want to be the guinea pig on this. If you were wanting to do that, I think there are going to be some real hiccups when it first starts, kind of like the TIA was. And until the UIL gets some guidelines in place, and they're writing them right now because this caught them off guard too. But this is the voucher. This is just an extension of the voucher push from our legislators that they tried to pass a transfer rule so that a child from any district anywhere could go to any school and be eligible for UIL activities. That didn't pass either.
It didn't pass.
That was a one-time deal, wasn't it?
Mhm.
It did not pass.
Did not pass, but that's also part of the voucher movement, is just to make it so that parents have more choices. They call it the Parent Bill of Rights. Any questions about the homeschool participation? We'll put that on the agenda.
So the decision will be whether or not to participate in that at all. Okay.
It doesn't say that we have to.
We have to say
Just
yes
says
or no.
we.
Have to say yes or no.
Okay.
Okay.
And anytime you can change your mind, but for the 25-26 school year, whatever you decide on this vote would be what you do for that school year.
And we're gonna have to do this every school year.
I would say if you want to change, you're going to have to do it.
Okay.
I would say it's probably going to stand until if you were to vote to allow it in the future. That'd be my thought on it. Okay, so calendar of events, I guess y'all are this is what I had from Mr. Kincaid, July 7th, 8th, 14th, and 15th. Superintendent candidate interviews. I haven't talked to Ronnie about the times. I'm assuming it's 6:30. Is that what y'all did? Is that what y'all want to do?
6 or 6:30.
6?
We've got a meeting on the 30th, I think, to go over candidates.
Y'all have a meeting on June 30?
I think so, yeah.
That's what I have down.
Yeah.
At 6 to go over applications.
Okay. Well, I guess I need to get that posted.
What time is that?
6 is what I have down in my calendar.
Thank you. I'll call him on my way home and make sure I have all these dates right. But the reason I have this on here is because I wanted to ask y'all about the next meeting date. I know I have those 3 items that we've talked about, a couple of them, but I've got 3 items that are actionable. So y'all want to have a,
Work them in on the 14th.
that's what I'm thinking. That be okay? Okay. So do you have a suggested time for me?
Let's just start that meeting at 6 and then, I mean, it shouldn't.
Do the other ones
take-
afterwards?
shouldn't take long.
Okay. All right, so the 14th, we'll do a 6, and then we'll try to get that done expeditiously, and y'all can start your interviews. Perfect. I didn't think anybody, including me, wanted to have another board meeting. So what's on there for now is the low attendance. We have low attendance days. Y'all have to approve the waiver for that. So that's an action item. And then Senate Bill 401, the homeschool participation. And then update 125, which I got today. There are a few of those that are local. And then the student code of conduct needs to be approved that night, because that would be the last time we could approve it before school starts, unless you want to have a special meeting. And it's not ready yet. So the state's still working on it. So if we have it by the 14th, I'll have that on the agenda as well. Any questions about my report? It won't always be that long. Sorry. There's not a House bill to review normally. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Any questions, Dr. Burks? I don't know of any reason to go into closed session. That brings us to item number 10.
Motion we adjourn.
Second.
So adjourned by unanimous consent.